Hello, I am Zsofia Stronitsky, a Unitarian from Transylvania, living half the year in Houston, Texas, and Executive Director of the International Convocation of Unitarian Universalist Women, or ICUW. Welcome to our GA 2024 on-demand video, United Women Worldwide Through Their Inspiring Stories. We bring stories shared by our members about igniting change in their communities and connecting with other UUs worldwide. Our storytellers are Ashley Noble, a Canadian LGBT activist involved in youth and community outreach. Sylvie Nyiramana, a Rwandan whose family was recently sponsored by a UU congregation to resettle in Nova Scotia. And Priti Tongte, a Khasi activist providing education about domestic violence and reproductive health to her communities in Northeast India. Common themes of resilience, problem solving, and justice run through their stories, told from three distinct corners of the UU universe. Ashlyn and Sylvie discovered Unitarian Universalism as young adults and are members of ICUW's Young Adult Network. Priti is a heritage Unitarian immersed in the indigenous traditions of Khasi Unitarianism. Our storytellers interact virtually with three other ICUW members. Ashlyn talks with her fellow young adult networker, Emily Jarrett, a UU currently residing in Belgium. Sylvie talks with Jerry Kennedy, a longtime ICUW leader living in Seattle. Priti converses with Tina Husing, also a longtime ICUW leader, originating from Germany and still active with the European Unitarian Universalists. We will begin with Ashlyn and Emily and then move on to Sylvie and Jerry. The last segment is a conversation between Priti and Tina, followed by closing remarks. United in our faith, we support, inspire, and learn from each other across borders and cultures.
Right. So, Ashlyn, thanks for agreeing to participate in this video and for sharing your story. And I just wanted you to start by asking you to tell me a bit, or tell us a bit about yourself, and also about how you came to Unitarianism or Unitarian Universalism.
Sure. So my name is Ashlyn. My pronouns are she and they. And I'm just on the upper edge of the young adult cutoff. I'm 35. I'll be bridging out this year. And I came to UUism via queer choir. I was in my first or second year of university, and I was searching for community. And I found an LGBT choir in Winnipeg called Rainbow Harmony Project, and they rehearsed in the first Unitarian Universalist of Winnipeg church building. And one day, after I had been in the church for about 6 months, our accompanist, who was also the accompanist for the church, told us that we weren't participating in the Pink Triangle service this year as a choir, but people should come and check it out. And it was an LGBT-focused service. And I was an atheist, am an atheist, and was very involved in the sort of skeptical movement. And so going to a church was not like my number one thought for a good time on Sunday. And it was very surprising to people that I wanted to go, but I wanted to see what this like gay church service was going to be about. You know, what were they going to say about my community? So I went to the service, and the moment that I remember the most was Story Wisdom, our director of Lifespan Religious Education, got up and asked all the children to join her and read a book called And Tango Makes Three, which is a widely banned and challenged book in the States about two gay penguins in the New York Zoo who adopt a little baby penguin. And it's just a very cute story, but little, 19, 20-year-old Ashlyn was sitting in the audience and thinking that all of those children at the front were never going to have to be scared to come out to their parents. They were always going to know that their community was going to love them for who they were and who they loved, and that was never going to be a problem. And I wanted to be part of a community like that.
Thanks. That's great. And it already shows, the role that storytelling can play in kind of creating community and so linked to our theme. So thank you for sharing that. You mentioned that you're at the upper edge of the young adult bracket, although I don't see that as a hard rule, because one can be young at heart, of course, and but I wanted to ask a little bit about if you could share about your experience of being a young adult in Unitarian Universalist circles, whether that's in Canada or also in the ways you've been involved in the International Convocation of Unitarian and Universalist women.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Start with that, and then I'll maybe have a follow-up question.
So getting involved with the young adult community was quite important for me, and getting involved in the church. I've always, I guess, had older friends, so it wasn't what I was drawn to initially, but our church was sort of working on an initiative at the time to get young adults more involved. And one of the things that they started was a young adult chalice circle, so like small group ministry where we would get together and talk about a theme, few questions, and it ended up that we were able to go really deep with each other and really get to know each other. And it was a great experience. And I didn't get that UU youth group experience that I hear so much about and sounds so wonderful, but our small group ministry was really important to me. And so when I saw the IWC had a sort of, it felt spiritually similar to me, the young adult group, where you were putting together all of these young adult women from around the world, and we could talk about different things every month. It was an extremely awesome experience to even just be on Zoom, where I was the only North American participant and there were 20 people on screen. Not a usual experience for me in UU spaces. And it was really cool to get to know what other people were experiencing on the other side of the world was similar to the things and the experiences that I was having in my UU community. Our problems were the same, our frustrations were the same, and our community was the same. Our community was strong.
Thanks. And maybe as a follow-up to that, then, yeah, I think you started answering it, but why do you think it is important that young adults are involved in Unitarian and Universalist communities and that they have opportunities to be heard?
In the context of Unitarian Universalism specifically, as well as the wider world, when you listen to people who are under 30 or under 20 or under 10, and you take their ideas seriously, you grow as a community and you become more progressive instead of stagnating in the morass of, well, we were progressive, so we are progressive. Something that I have noticed in UU spaces is when I joined, as I said, I felt like all of those children up there could tell their parents who they were and be believed. And I no longer feel that that's true in my congregation and in congregations around Canada, for sure, talking to other young people, because there are too many people in our congregations right now who are transphobic and will not respect the identities of the young people in our churches, even if they think that they are very progressive and that they would never, they would never reject someone for who they are. The culture and the actions have not actually kept up with that line of thinking. And that is not the case in young adult spaces, in my experience. In all of the young adult spaces that I have been in, trans people have been explicitly welcomed, accepted, and affirmed, whereas in our larger congregations, we can't get anyone to respect our pronouns. So the reason that it's important to have young adults involved in Unitarian Universalism is to keep dragging us forward.
Thanks. And thank you for sharing so honestly with us about your experience. So the theme of the General Assembly, as you know, is, well, partly is Love Unites. And I wondered if you had an example from your experience within UU circles or outside of UU circles of the power of love in uniting people together. Maybe you could talk about that a bit.
So one of the things that I'm really involved with right now is feeding my community. And it has been really wonderful to see people come together when there is sort of a push. I am willing to do all the work to, get all the ingredients and make a big meal and send it out to people, but I hate driving. So I have been able to ask people in my community to help deliver meals for me. So every week I make a big meal and I divvy it up and people order whatever they want. They pitch in if they can, but if they can't, it's all good. And I've been able to sort of feed, 20, 25 people a week for over a year now with just sort of the power of mutual aid. And every time I post in my local community group about the things that I'm doing, I get more offers of connection, more offers of, farmers who have excess produce and people who have time to chop veggies and things. And so none of that would happen if there wasn't some impetus to get started. And I love seeing everybody contribute what they like to contribute, and that all forming a whole that contributes to the community with nobody having to do anything that they find extremely onerous.
Thanks. Maybe you could also talk a little bit about what role your faith or Unitarian Universalist values play in your life. How do they guide you, or how have they inspired you? Whether with this project that you've just mentioned or other things that you've done.
For sure, the first principle is something that is so important, but also so hard. It is so hard to affirm the worth and dignity of every person. And that has really been something that I have tried to keep in mind. And when people are frustrating you and really testing your faith, I guess, your faith that people are generally good, and your faith that people want to see their community succeed and their fellow people succeed. And someone is testing that faith, making you think, do you really want us all to just crash and burn? And just really remembering and believing that everyone has worth and everyone is deserving and everyone needs to eat is very important to me. But also my work on the eighth principle has been really formative. I got involved with a team who initially was sort of, our goal was to inform our national board in Canada about issues involving racial justice and what we could do in our congregations. And it sort of snowballed into a beautiful radical act where we adopted the eighth principle, and then there was a brief celebration, and then everyone freaked out about the bylaws, and we had to go back and actually reaffirm it a year later. But it was not a year later. I'm sorry, I misspoke. It was a few months later in a special session. But it was a pretty magical moment to see everybody come together and say, why don't we just pass the eighth principle? And the eighth principle, for those who might not be aware, is to, I better look up the wording or I'm going to get it wrong. We can edit this. And I said it so many times, I should really be able to say it. So the eighth principle says that as Canadian Unitarian Universalists, we are called to live into dismantling racism and systemic barriers to full inclusion in ourselves and our institutions. So having that moment where we all came together and said, let's just do it. Let's just pass it. What are we waiting for? That was really special. The pushback, less special, very typical and exhausting. But the fact that we got it done makes me proud.
And how do you feel that that experience and maybe some of the other experiences that you've mentioned where you've become better connected to others and to your community and you've lived out your faith and your values, how do you feel that that's changed you, and maybe how do you feel that it's changed your community?
That's an interesting question. It has made me more patient. It has made me understand better the workings of bureaucracy behind the scenes and how that is absolutely a white supremacist framework that we need to get away from. The fact that Robert's Rules of Order were sort of used as a cudgel, and then a movement sort of grew up about, maybe we shouldn't use this anymore. I love that. And I love getting to talk to activists from around the world and hear about how our problems are the same and our solutions are the same, and how we can work together to figure out how we can harness each other's knowledge. I'm actually heading to Romania for the IWC conference this fall to meet some other young and not so young activists. And I'm just really stoked to talk to them about my projects and talk to them about their projects and see how the things that we've figured out can help each other. And I think that that's just a constant process. My team with the DRSG, the Dismantling Racism Study Group, and my Young Adult Chalice Circle, and everybody who comes together in these circles who wants to move toward a progressive future, we all just teach each other things constantly about how to be together in humanity. One of the things that I think I've learned the most from being in UU spaces is how to talk to people in a way that will invite them to talk back to me instead of getting angry. And I'm not saying that that's a skill I'm good at yet, but I appreciate those skills in so many of the UU leaders that I've been around who have taught me skills like that.
Yes, definitely challenging, but very useful, very useful skills to have and to take with you for any future activism you wish to do. Maybe to wrap up, what would you like people watching this video to take away from your experience and your story? If tomorrow, after watching it, a day passes or whatever, what would you like them to remember and to carry with them?
I would like UUs in general to understand that let me reword this. I would love if people took away from my story that Unitarian Universalists need to move towards being more radical in their inclusion. And no matter how radical you think that you are including people right now, what's something else that you could do? Because we're not there yet. And we're so far that I think that every single person could think of something that they could do to be more radical in their approach to including everyone who needs to be included in a progressive future.
Wow. Very good. Thanks. Well, thank you for sharing. Yeah, we're so happy to have had you and to hear from your experience.
Hello, I'm Jerry Kennedy, a member of the ICUU Women Board of Directors, and I have the honor of introducing Sylvie Nyiramana. Sylvie is a UU from Rwanda, East Africa, and is now living in Canada. She joined ICUU Women's virtual Tuesday gatherings in 2020, at the very beginning of this popular ongoing program. She also participated in ICUU Women's International Young Adult Network Program, and she joined our board of directors in 2023. She is delighted to be the torchbearer for the next generation of ICUU women leaders, following in the footsteps of the remarkable women that started this worthy organization. Sylvie, please give us a quick review of where you have lived and where you are now.
Thank you so much, Jerry. I'm so happy to be here and to be able to share with you and with everybody my experience growing up. And I was born in Rwanda, as you said, and it's in East Africa. And growing up, at some point, I had to be in other countries, my neighbors' countries. I lived in DRC, Congo. I lived in Uganda. I lived in Kenya, and I visited at some point Burundi. With all those traveling and going back and coming back, going and coming back in my country, I was able to experience different culture, different food, different languages, and I feel I was privileged. So because now, as I have reached in Canada, I have so much to share with everybody. Thank you so much.
So tell us about some of those surprising differences from all that variety of countries.
Yeah. Some countries I went to, girls, I was in a country where girls, they don't go to school. At some point, I was only girl who can read, you know. I could read Bible because they were Christian family. And that made me, it felt sad, but I was young, I could do nothing. But now, looking back, I have so many questions. Why God don't go to school? I didn't know, you know, God were oppressed those years, you know, until I know about women's rights and all that. So other country, I saw girls were getting married without their consent. Just parents agreed themselves and marry off girls, and they were still young. That was something shocked me, and it was scary, because anytime you can just wake up and they tell you you have to get married. That was so scary. It was not good experience as well. Other people, they just still bandage in a culture where you have to respect men as if you are not a human being, that some women, they still need to serve their husband. You know, they don't have rights to talk, to have opinion about their families. And other people, you know, it's like how women are treated in those countries is so sad. And I'm glad that I met this organization where we can talk about women and where we can be able to educate other women to overcome all that oppression in the future.
Yes, that's very important.
Mm-hmm.
So you've been a UU since 2012. Can you tell us about the differences you found in the UU faith?
Yeah, since 2012, that's when I came to know about UU through my fiance then, my husband, my fiance then. He had been introduced to UU in 2009 by a friend from Burundi. Then when I joined him, he had a friend, then the friend had visited us in Rwanda, and he wanted us to initiate the church there. And then we met and discussed. Then with all the principles, I fell in love with UU when they told me what it's all about. And I was able to embark the journey with my husband to have this church in our country. And we did it. It was good. We managed to get people to help us, to get help from US. to be able to pay our rent, to have different trainings. People from the board were coming to teach us, and were able to have enough training. Then my husband was a minister, then he was teaching. We were taking roles to teach about Unitarianism. My husband was able to be in some of the convention, the gathering in Netherlands. So we had required so much experience until 2018, where our country, they had this restriction about churches. They felt churches are so many, they need to put some rules and regulations. And that's how our church came to be closed with other churches around. Then by then we decided we can't, stay where we are not free. We can be able to go other countries and, keep our faith and, be able to live in peace and freedom. That's how we came to leave our country. And when we were away from our country, we were able to be introduced to the UU Canada, the Unitarians in Canada. That's how they sponsored us, and that's why we are here in Canada now.
Very good. A long journey.
Yes.
So how did you hear about the International Convocation of UU Women?
Yeah, when I was still in Africa in 2019, I met one of the members of International Convocation UU Women, Judy. Then Judy introduced me to the organization. Then I felt also it was good because, back then with what I lived, where I traveled, what I saw women go through, I felt I can be part of this organization and be able to voice and to share my experience with others so we can see what we can do back in Africa. And then, because now all the women there, they have one purpose, is to empower women. So I felt, whatever I saw in past, it was preparing me, whatever I lived in my past, it was preparing me to know what to do with this and my contribution towards this organization. And then the COVID came and we started this online gathering Tuesdays. And, I was in a new country. I didn't have friends. I had lost friends. I had lost my country, it was kindly comforting me because now I gained a new family, where we share views, we share purpose, I felt good, and I'm so grateful to Judy and grateful to the organization. They welcomed me, we felt family until now. We are still doing this, and, we look forward to more and more experience with the organization.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad it was comforting for you.
Yes.
So tell us a few stories about some of the challenges you've had to overcome as a woman growing up in those countries.
Yeah, my challenges are, they were not so hard because I had access to education. I went to school like other kids, when you perform well, they didn't mind. My country had not stopped girls to go to school. I went to school. I finished my degree in business administration. At some point, I got a job. And then when I was working, it was a sales marketing job. Now that sales marketing, it requires you to go in the market, to go and get customers. Now, as the company grew, they had other, goals, how to push their product. At some point, they had to say that we need to be selling directly. We go to the market, we get order, but we sell. We don't bring back order so that they can get somebody else to deliver. So that required we need to drive. I didn't drive, I didn't know how to drive. I never thought even about it. I thought it was men's job, as women in those countries. There are some jobs you think it's for men, but, they gave us like timeline. They said everybody now need to get a driving license and we are giving you 1 month. And if you can't meet this, you are going to lose your job because we can't hire a driver and keep your job. So you go and try your best to get this driving license. We're a team of 5. I was only girl in 4. The rest 4, they were men. So we said, okay, we went and starting a school of driving. I went and I was the first one to get my driving license. And, after 1 month, I presented and they gave me a company car, It was so delighted. And I'm so glad for them. They pushed me to do, something I believe I'll never do, like in my life. I didn't feel it's important, because how we grew up, they teach us men will take care of you. So if I could just get married, my husband knows how to drive, that, it was enough. But now with that, I got a bonus now, even in life, when I got married, life was easy, my husband doesn't have to drive me everywhere. So it was a skill I required, and I'm grateful I had that experience too.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. And I bet that other women seeing you behind the wheel driving, it was a good example.
I know, they were thrilled. They are like, how did you? I said, you can do it.
That's
Then
wonderful.
my friend started driving too. Yeah.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much. Is there anything else that you'd like to add?
No, not really. I'm so glad, and I hope the video and everybody out there will be inspired by our stories. We really request everybody to join ICUUW. You learn a lot. You meet very wonderful people, and we hope organization will strive and make a difference and make it a better world. Thank you so much, Gigi.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Priti Tongpet is a member of the Khasi indigenous minority in the state of Meghalaya, Northeast India, and also of the Unitarian Union of Northeast India. The founder of Khasi Unitarianism, Hajom Kishore Singh, developed a unique Unitarian theology in the late 19th century. They now comprise the 3rd largest group of Unitarians or Unitarian Universalists in the world, with a total of some 10,000 adults and children in 45 congregations. Only the United States and Romania have more. Priti lives in a small village of approximately 200 people, located near the border between India and Bangladesh. Most people in her village are Unitarian, with a few Catholics, Presbyterians, and Hindus. When Tina and Priti first started chatting, they used WhatsApp, but the connection was poor. For this video, Priti borrowed a computer from her brother Mandi. He brought his over from his wife's village, where he lives, and provided technical help. You can see him sometimes on the screen. In the video, there are various local terms and shorthand initials used in order to name groups that Priti is involved in. Other cultural facts, including units of money and an addictive concoction, are mentioned without explanation. Going through the video, here are a few clarifications from Tina in the order that these terms appear. Priti mentions belonging to the Jovai Circle, which includes women of the 5 Unitarian churches in the West Jantia Hills district. The women help each other with campaigns and support each other for religious services. She is active in SAG, self-help groups of 10 women each, which are an important mechanism for women's collective action and empowerment. They register with the state government and are eligible to receive revolving startup loans. Priti reported that many women now have their own businesses like tea stalls and grocery stores. The amounts of money that Priti notes are small. Her teacher's salary was 1,200 Indian rupees, approximately $14.40. She took out a bank loan of 2,50,000, which is 250,000 Indian rupees, approximately $3,000. Her successful business exports crushed rock to Bangladesh. Before he stole her money and ran away, her husband was addicted to alcohol and bhang, an edible preparation made from cannabis leaves. Priti became a CGHA, or Community Gender Health Activist, in her block starting in 2021. This is a project of the state government for women, raising awareness, home visits to pregnant women, teaching them how to look after themselves when giving birth, teenage pregnancy prevention, harassment, and more. When Tina asked about educating boys and men on violence against women, Priti mentions the enforcement of better behavior through the VO, or the Village Organization, an elective village government. She also notes the Kasi Dorbar Shnong, the village council headed by a Rangmang Shnong, or village headman. Priti and Tina end their conversation with a reference to seeing each other in September 2024. They will participate in the 4th International Convocation of UU Women and People of Progressive Faith in Transylvania, the cradle of Unitarianism. Priti and Ashwin are both receiving scholarships funded through a Faithify campaign, enabling them to attend this important event. Our videos of International Unitarian and UU Women's inspiring stories are in themselves a call for action. Join us by connecting with ICW at the Convocation in September through our programs like the Young Adult Network, as Ashlyn and Emily did, or our virtual twice-a-month Tuesday gatherings, regularly attended by Sylvie. These one-hour gatherings bring together dozens of women from all over the globe to connect and share thoughts and insights on various topics. Experience how we can connect in this vital work for gender equity and women's rights by supporting the work of Unitarian women like Ashlyn, Sylvie, and Priti.
So your grandmother was Unitarian, your mother was Unitarian, you are Unitarian, your 2 daughters are Unitarian. So what is it like to grow up as a Unitarian?
Because a Unitarian is teaching me to love the people and to give the service to the people, because service to the people is service to God. The
I
belief
think
of my
that is such a nice saying. You have written that to me before in our chats. Service to the people is service to God. I really like that a lot. So what are you doing in service to the people?
I help the people to give them the awareness program, to know about the rights of the women, the rights of the adolescent and the elders, men and women, and equal gender. And I also give the about the FHNW, that one is food, nutrition, health. So many actual is about the health.
So
it's to know, to people, they have to know about the health, how to take care about the health.
You are very active. You do a lot of things.
And I also, yes, I am also teaching the yoga also about the menstrual health, hygiene, and happiness for the women and adolescents also. And not only adolescents, but small kids also.
How many hours do you think, Priti, every week you spend working for the people in your community?
It's take about, sometimes it's 4-5 hours, And some training is take 1 hour, 2 hours.
And you
And
got,
I am also become the secretary of the Unitarian Church in my Unitarian Church in Nongtalang. Then I become the member of the Unitarian Joy Circles.
and you got a big award recently from the district and from the state of Meghalaya even, right?
Yes.
So what initiative was that and what did you do?
Actually, about the award, I have given the addressing about the domestic violence of the women by giving them the awareness program and giving them the train how to be the strong woman and how to be the financial independence for the woman. I walk in every village of my place, in my block.
Wow.
It's around 40-50 village I have to cover to give them the awareness program as well as the training also. I deal with we have this SSG, FSG group, self-help group formed by the women. In my village, actually, I have 4 groups. Then so many in village, they have around 40-20 groups. Then I have to go to that groups and give them training awareness program.
So pretty. We can learn a lot from the program that you are doing in the Khasi Hills about violence against women. And Eljiva, a friend of ours, right, of yours and mine, has already told me a little bit about this program. Can you tell me a little bit, when you do the awareness program, what are you teaching?
Actually, I teach them, first of all, to know the equal rights of the genders. We have to respect both men and women. And first of all, we the women, we need to depend in ourselves, not only on the men's side. We have to be a financial independence. We have to be depends by ourselves. And we teach them also about the to be the to know their rights also, rights of the women. Then I also teach them practically by doing the yoga,
Yes.
by doing hands posture, then by breathing, then by doing so many about the health of the woman, because we have many diseases in our body. Then by taking medicine is not cure. Then we have to do the exercise, means yoga, actually to connect with the nature. By breathing, we have to do the many different steps of breathing by doing to clear our mindset, and to be our heart beating also should be perfect. Then
You are a
another
strong woman, right? You are a strong woman. So I know you are a strong woman. Maybe you can share a little bit with everyone about yourself a little bit, like about your own story.
Okay. From the beginning, I was born actually in my place in Nongtalang. Then I finished my study up to class 12. I doing my higher secondary school in Nongtalang. Then I do my 12 in Shillong Morningstar College. Then I got married. Then I have to, when I married, then my husband is, from that time, after I joined with the one primary school, that time my salary is only 1,200. I have to work hard 9 p.m. to 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then after that, because 1,200 is cannot to run my family, then I do my business like as an exporter. Then my husband was a drunkard. He can't support me in my business because he was an addict of the alcoholic and bhang. Then I have he was always quarrel with me. Then because I have that time I born one my elder daughter. Then I have to run my family. Then I have to look after my business. Then I have to resign that my teacher. Then one day my husband was quarrel with me, and he took my money and he ran away from Bangladesh. Then that time I have no way from where to whom I will be, who will help me, to who will support me. Then 1 month or 3 months I was in deep depression of my mind. I can't do anything. Then that time I think I have to do something for me and for my daughter. If I go into deep depression, then who will look after my daughter? Then I took a loan, 2,50,000 from my rural bank, MRB bank in Nongtalang, to wake up my business. Then I start my business as exporter. From that, I become that slowly, I become a very strong woman. Then I can be a financial independence. From that, suddenly is my heart is tell me, is whatever I got, I won't leave it only to myself. I have to teach to the woman who be victim like me. That I have the lucky, everything is God planned for me to be good for me. Then I joined as a gatherers in my blog. I become the CGHA, Community Health Gender, in my blogs. Then I have this, like a gatherers, I got the chance to give the training to every village, to every members, to every woman of our group, how to become the financial independence, how to become a strong woman. Then luckily is I got whatever my heart is tell me, then really I got it. I got to spread, to share my whatever my story to another women to be strong like me. Then I got also a training from that Asian influence, Asian confluence in Shillong. That time I got the
yes.
training.
Asian
Yes,
Confluence Center. Yes.
Yes, from that time, I got this training. After that training, I become the master trainer, and I also allowed me to go to enter each and every school to teach the student about the harassment of the girls, the domestic violence.
Is that in high school? Or where is that? What school?
In high school.
Mm.
Then I give the training to each and every school for the girls to become the strong girls, to harassment, then teenage pregnancies, then that one is stopped. No one can touch. That is awareness program. Then I complete 100 schools
Wow.
to give the training for them.
So what do you
For
mean?
them,
No, you just said that it was about the rights. You taught the girls in the high school about the rights and teenage pregnancy, and then you said
yes.
it stopped. What do you mean it
Stop
stopped?
means they can no one can touch their body without the permission of the girls.
Ah. You told them, that's what you taught them. You taught
Yeah.
them that nobody can touch their body without their permission.
Yeah, that
Mm.
have to do. That one is telling us stop. They have to
Ah,
say loudly and become the anger. They have to show the stop.
I see.
Then actually it is a very gainful for the every girls. That is, they have to know that one also one of the syllabus. That is the subject of their class.
What about the boys, Pretty? Are you also teaching the boys?
No, actually, is first of all, they are give first is most we have to give the train for the girls. But actually, nowadays, it is a that is a very good to give the train to boys also. We
We
give
have
the
to teach
awareness
the,
program.
yeah, we have to
Yeah,
teach the boys to respect the no,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Because
yeah. Yeah.
because nowadays not only the girls is they are the victim for the harassment domestic that stop. Nowadays the boys also face that problem.
Yes, of course. So do you see a difference? Do you see how your training is making a difference in the community?
Yes, I nowadays all the women they are active. They know their rights in them, and the must is the challenge in their life.
So do you have an example, Pretty? Like, do you know, like, for example, are there fewer reports of violence? Are there fewer incidents of teenage pregnancy? Do we see a change in the community because the women and the girls know their rights?
Yes, nowadays is more change. Now, before in our communities, in our area, more girls they have to drop their school because of teenage pregnancy. Now they are very developed about the teenage pregnancy. Then somehow there is a domestic violence because we in Meghalaya, most men are drunkard. They have the quarrel. They have sometimes they have to call me. Then I give them the awareness for the man. You have to to do the domestic by talking because some not by beating, but one domestic is by talking also. Not need to hurt the woman. Then if now they if we give like that awareness to the man, they are now understood. They respect the women.
So the men are listening to you?
Yes, some yes listening, some but not all. But who women is man is not doing the violence, then now we get the like we are the VOs village organization or the SSG member, we can get the help from police also.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that. So, this training, violence against women, right, for women and girls, you also have support from the men. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, can you talk a little bit about that? Like, how did you get the support from the men? What are the men doing?
Like our headman village, we all together, not only me, first of all myself, I go to understood them. If the man is not listening to me, then I have to call the VO, chairperson, and the secretary with the along with the headman of the village. We forego for the home visit to talk about the domestic violence, and we talk about them uh, about the law, about the if you not listening to the three of us, means we can give you to the police also.
I see. So it's
We work
mediation
together.
first. Yeah, first you do mediation, and then you can escalate it and get help from the village headman. And if that doesn't work either, then you go to the police. And the police will also help you.
Yeah. But actually, we here in our society, if we are actually we have a Darbar Shinam, when village Darbar we have.
So yes, that is
Then
that is like
yes,
the village government.
yes,
Yes?
and we give them the awareness to the men. Then they are actually they understand because they don't want to be in a jail.
They don't want to go to prison. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Then that time they are telling, sorry, we don't do it anymore.
Very successful. Very successful.
Yeah.
Very good. Mhm. I think this is such a great program, violence against women and girls is a big problem in all societies. And it is one of the examples where we, as sisters, like you and I, right, we can really learn from each other. And we have so much to learn from you when it comes to all the activities that you are doing. And you are doing it not just for one day in the year, but you are doing it throughout the year. So yeah, you are really a great role model. You are a very strong woman, and when you teach, then everybody listens because you are teaching what you yourself are doing, right? Really
Because
nice.
actually, first of all, I am the victim. Because I am the victim, then I am the example for the another women.
Well,
Because I learn from myself.
Yeah, but I think, Pretty, you were a victim, but now you are not a victim, right?
Now I am
Anymore.
very happy with my two daughters.
Yes.
Now I live in very happy family.
Yes. And we had a great pleasure when we were chatting on our phones. It was so nice because you invited me to your house and you showed me your house, and then I showed you my house, right? And it was like we were visiting each other. And one time you said to me, yes, it's incredible that we met. And I feel the same. It was just, we are just so lucky, right? Because we met. And of course, we met because of the organization that we both belong to, and that is the International Convocation of Unitarian Universalist Women. And so we have members in the Khasi Hills. Right now, I am German, but I live in the United States. But we are an international organization, and this is all about connecting women and allowing women to get to know each other and to learn from each other. And you and I, we were very lucky because we were introduced to each other and we have learned so much from each other already. Now, I hope we will see each other in person in the fall. Well, I think we've talked for quite a while. So I want to thank you, Mandy, for setting everything up, for giving us the opportunity. Thank you. And Pretty, thank you. It's always really, really nice chatting with you. And we will chat more and between now and September. And in September, we will see each other in person.
Thank you. Kuble.
Kuble.